In the spring of 1975, a series of disturbing events began to unfold. Events that would go on to haunt two communities on opposite sides of the world. It started in the quiet, wooded town of Clifton, Virginia. Locals spoke of a strange man dressed in a white bunny suit. He wasn't just a harmless prankster. This figure was seen lurking around the infamous Colchester overpass, holding an axe. He appeared suddenly, threatened trespassers, and vanished without a trace. At first, people dismissed the stories as an urban legend, but fear quickly took root when eyewitnesses described near-identical encounters. Reports flooded in, campers were chased, cars were attacked. People began to wonder, was this just a crazed man, or something far more sinister? Meanwhile, just 12 days before Easter Sunday, across the Atlantic in London, horror struck again. In her quiet apartment in Leyton, 21-year-old Eve Stratford was found brutally murdered. She had been a rising star, a model, and a hostess at London's famous Playboy club where she worked as a bunny girl. But her glamorous life came to a violent end. Her throat had been slashed multiple times. The scene was gruesome, shocking even seasoned investigators. A few months later, another young woman, 16-year-old Lynne Weedon, was attacked in an alley in Hounslow. She had been walking home from a party when she was struck from behind, raped, and left for dead. She would die a week later in the hospital. At the time, no one connected the two crimes. But years later, DNA evidence revealed a chilling truth. The same killer was responsible for both murders. A sadistic predator was on the loose, one who chose his victims carefully and who vanished before anyone could catch him. Back in Virginia, police were baffled. The bunny man had become a symbol of fear. Parents warned their children not to go near the bridge. Local teenagers dared each other to find him. But the man in the rabbit suit, if he ever existed, was never caught. No fingerprints, no arrest. Just stories, fear, and blood-stained legends. In London, detectives worked tirelessly to piece together the murders of Eve Stratford and Lynne Weedon. The crimes were brutal, but the clues were scarce. Even with DNA evidence decades later, no suspect has ever been identified. The killer simply disappeared, melting back into society. But one thing was clear: whoever committed these crimes had planned them. He was meticulous. He struck during holidays, using themes like innocence, rebirth, and spring to create a twisted parody of celebration. What should have been a time of joy had become a season of terror. The psychological profile of the killer painted a disturbing picture. Experts described him as a sexual sadist, someone who derived pleasure not only from murder, but from the symbolism of it. The bunny, usually a sign of innocence, playfulness, and fertility, was transformed into a mask for death. In Virginia, the bunny man's threats were theatrical but real. He attacked cars, broke windows, and terrified those who ventured too close. In London, the killer was more silent. He stalked, waited, and struck with unimaginable violence. These weren't random attacks. They were calculated, chosen for impact, and for fear. Despite years of investigation, public appeals, and technological advances, no one was ever brought to justice. The Bunny Man of Virginia faded into local legend. People still visit the Colchester overpass, especially around Halloween, hoping for a glimpse of the man in the suit. But he never reappeared. In London, the Metropolitan Police continue to investigate. The reward for information remains unclaimed. Eve Stratford and Lynne Weedon's families still live with unanswered questions. Every year during the springtime, the pain returns, the memories, the fear, the loss. Even decades later, the scars remain. Over time, the story of the Easter Bunny killer evolved. True crime documentaries, podcasts, and horror stories began to merge the legends from both sides of the Atlantic. The Bunny Man, the Playboy Bunny Murders, the Easter Bunny Killer. Different A's. Same terror. Each tale, each retelling served as a reminder. Behind the most innocent symbols, darkness can hide. What was once a holiday for children became a chilling backdrop for violence. Easter eggs, bunny ears, soft springtime pastels. These Cheerful images now carry a shadow. In some communities, Easter became a time not only of renewal but of caution. A time to remember that evil doesn't always wear a scary face. Sometimes it wears a smile or a costume. The Easter Bunny killer may never be unmasked, but his legacy lives on, in whispered stories, in cold case files, in the minds of those who lived through the fear. This story is more than just a tale of horror. It's a reminder that monsters aren't just in fairy tales, that behind the masks we wear, whether playful or polite, can lurk unimaginable darkness. It's a call for vigilance, for community, for awareness, because while the Bunny Man may be gone, the fear he left behind still echoes through the trees of Virginia and in the alleys of London. So next Easter, when you see the bunny ears, the smiling faces, the colorful eggs, remember the story of the Easter Bunny killer, and stay safe, because not every bunny brings joy. Some bring nightmares.